Hello everybody. I wanted to be able to share with you my process regarding how I keep information organized regarding the courses that my daughter has already taken at the community college, the courses she's currently enrolled in, and the courses that she needs to take. Um, what I've seen some conversation in the group around this topic to some degree, but I wanted to preface with first and foremost, when it comes to selecting courses for your child to select courses at a community college, I will always recommend that the courses in community college or a four-year institution, most people who are having their children be dual enrolled as homeschoolers typically have them enrolled at a community college. But many people in our group have indicated that their children have been taking college courses through a four-year institution. My experience as a parent has been um, my child she did take a summer course at a four-year institution, but that was actually through a program. It wasn't separate from a program. She got college credit for the course that those children were engaged in. But in general, the affordable route for me is a community college. But so that is the lens in which I am speaking today. And so I continuously given background. My name is Khadijah Ali Coleman. My brand, So Our Youth Aspire, is what is hosting this group. And I actually started this group last year at the beginning of my research that I conducted for my dissertation, which was, hello, I'm doing a live. I'm talking about you. Do you want to come in? You want to say hi to folks? You can't say anyone, but just so they can see you, they can't see you. Come on, I'm talking about you. I'm telling all your business. So that's my 16-year-old, almost 17-year-old. Can you take your dog out, please? But last year, I began my research and I ended it. I finished it this past spring and earned my doctorate. But my research was around African American homeschool students who are also dual enrolled in community college and the perceptions of preparedness for community college. Okay, and so I started this group because I realized, wow, I've been going this route with my daughter pretty much without any engagement with a homeschool community. And so it was really interesting how people quickly started to join this group. What I'm learning is that many of the parents who have joined this group have done so years in advance, where your children aren't necessarily anywhere near high school age, but you just want to start getting some ideas for when they do arrive at homeschool age. But then there are some of you um, who do who do have dual enrolled children, and some who would like to begin that with your high schoolers. Um, the extreme or the out of the norm experiences where someone's child has started taking community college courses as a 10-year-old or a 9-year-old. I haven't really seen that in this group, but for the most part, many states, you need to check um, your local community colleges to see what their requirements are, because what I've consistently shared is that all community colleges are not equal in terms of what their policies are. My daughter was able to start community college courses at 14 through a clause at the local community college where a child could be talented and gifted, or take a test and be able to take the courses. She had been in public school before and deemed talented and gifted. And so that's what allowed her to begin taking courses at 14. For some states, it may not be that type of restriction. You may be able to start earlier, but all of that is relative to where you're located, what the laws are of the state, and what the policies are of the individual school. So you always need to start there first. I've been seeing folks post about questions about courses, and no state is the same. So you asking a group of people that are from different states and locations about things specific, such as laws and policies, is not going to do you any good, because all policies and all laws are specific to states and school. Okay. And so HSLDA is a great place where folks recommend that you go for state policies about homeschooling in general. And when people are typically looking for state policies, you're probably looking to see what college course can also translate into a homeschool requirement if your state is requiring you to kind of have your child be taught certain disciplines or get credit or what have you. But again, all of that is state specific. All right. So that's not what this video is about. That's not what this is about. This video is about, once you have decided, all right, my child is taking, I would like them to start taking at least 2 to 3, maybe 4 courses this semester. I want to know where to start. So just to give you some insight into how we came to that decision for my daughter. So she started taking classes, what would be the second semester of her, I look at semesters because I'm entrenched in academia, right? So that first semester for me would be August to December. The second would be January to May, right? So during her first year of what would be considered high school, that second semester, which would be that January to May period, was when she began taking community college courses when she was 14. She was a 9th grader. And she had no idea what she wanted a pathway, what she was interested in majoring in. You know, we have adults that don't know. So that wasn't by any chance, it wasn't weird or anything I was concerned about. What I did know is that every college student has to fulfill what is called general education requirements. For those who have attended college, you are familiar with this because this term has not changed from when we were in school. And I say we, but many of you are much younger than me. I actually got my undergrad degree in 1995, all right? Some of you may have been born then. But general education requirements is a term that's been around for forever, really. And those are the courses that the powers that be have decided that the purpose of college ultimately, and this is really when colleges were more liberal arts focused as a whole. They weren't really distinctions. The belief that everyone should leave college well-rounded. So even if you have a STEM major, that you still have had a robust access to information or to learning in the humanities and the arts and what have you. So general education requirements are those bare minimum courses that you need to take in certain disciplines that may not necessarily be what you're majoring in, all right? So most schools require that you have at least 1 math course and 2 science courses completed before you get your degree. And this is for associate's and bachelor's degree. So it's usually 1 math, 2 science. I know I graduated from the University of Maryland, Baltimore County. We had the choice at the time that we could do 1 math, 2 sciences, or 1 science, 2 maths, right? You usually have to take 2 social sciences, and social sciences usually include psychology, sociology, and then you usually have to take a physical education course, maybe 2. My program, I had to take 2, and they were only worth like a credit, something really small. You also have to take, I said, math, science, humanities, history usually. And so all of that is specific to school, but they usually, those things are I know in my state, those are pretty consistent. I'm in Maryland. And so when my daughter began taking courses and she didn't have an idea of what her program of study would be, we knew that she would have to take general education requirements. So we began with her taking courses to meet her general education requirements. So these were courses that she would need regardless of what program she was in. and would most likely transfer if she was, as she plans to go to a four-year institution in our state, right? And so the two courses that she selected for her first semester when she was a ninth grader was sociology and English composition. She tested into where she could take college English. And that's something also that we haven't really talked about in this group much about placement tests, that while community colleges are open access, you don't have to apply to go to a community college. They do have that restriction of how old you must be, typically, and they also um, restrict you from going right into college level courses if you don't meet the minimum what they require on a placement test. Now this is slowly changing in some places in the United States, and let us know if that is not a requirement in your city and at the community college your child is going to or currently attends or has attended. But for here in Maryland, and my daughter has gone to two community colleges, a placement test was required for both schools, okay? So back to the choice in courses. So she chose sociology and English composition, two general education requirements. What that means is that if she and she has chosen a track, which is creative writing, humanities track, which will lead to an Associates of Arts because she wants to then go to a four-year institution with an emphasis on writing and film, right? And so if she could take those two courses, English comp and sociology, and another student who's gonna major in accounting would need to take those courses because they meet the general education requirements, all right? And to give you a visual of that, I want to actually use as an example the website at her school and give you a little bit of insight as to what I'm talking about. So the school she attends is Community College of Baltimore County. We do not live in Baltimore County. That's another story. I think I've mentioned that. I used to teach at this school. Well, I'm still in the system. I just haven't taught classes recently. But she would come to class with me. And that was one of the perks of teaching colleges, that I would always bring my homeschooler with me, in the classroom. They wouldn't know, students wouldn't know who she was. They just thought she was another student like them. But she's asked to come to this school because she wasn't really feeling the college that was in our county. And so she took those first two courses at the college in our county and was able to transfer the credit, meaning that she got credit that she had taken them. So they're going to be applied to a program, but she didn't get the credit. She got B's in both those classes. So the credit of a B is not transferred, but the notation that she has fulfilled this requirement is what is noted on her transcript. So this is her concentration: creative writing, humanities, and social sciences area of concentration, which will lead to an Associate of Arts. Community colleges are now on this whole tip about pathways as opposed to majors in particular. So, certain pathways have been created because they lead to certain industry, whether the student, community colleges are so unique because many students either go straight into the world of work or are transferring to a four-year institution. And so when a student is taking a liberal arts type of major, they still want the courses to reflect rigor, if that makes any sense. So for her program, we don't need to go over the objectives. I want you to look at the course breakdown. So they give you what a suggested semester sequence is. That means what they suggest that a student takes each semester to be able to graduate within a 2-year period, right? They tell you the courses that are needed for this concentration, and then notes. So we're going to first go to the courses needed for this concentration. And that is what we're talking about today. So at the top, what they include are the general education requirements and electives for this major. So for her major, she will have to have 60 credits by the end of this, by completion, right? And all credits are not created equal. And you need to know this before you just sign your child up for anything. I recommend that, yes, we have certain things requirements that we need to meet, for those of us who have to report to homeschooling offices that require us to do a portfolio review. And I know that some states are a bit more stringent. They actually go through, actually my state has become a little bit more pressed with what is this discipline, what did you do for this, and having it more aligned with children who are traditionally schooled in public and private school. But for the most part, yes, you should be concerned about what you have to show the homeschool office. But if your child is enrolling in college courses, then you need to make sure that these courses they're taking are meeting general education requirements, so that if they continue to progress through school, they don't have to take these over or take another class to fulfill these requirements when they can begin doing that now. So what do I mean by that? So the general education requirements that my daughter has to take, she has to take 34 to 36 credits. Courses usually are 3 credits each. So if 34 to 36 credits roughly comes out to about 11 to 12 classes, right? And these classes have to cover those areas that I told you about before. If you look, arts and humanities. So I think that's what I forgot. That's the area I forgot. So the arts and humanities, they have to take at least 3 credits in arts and humanities. They include, arts and humanities includes everything from a communication class to a fine arts class. Those are 2 classes that I've taught. So I know that usually the students who show up in my classes are taking my class because it meets a general education requirement, not because they're going to most likely progress in a career of communication, or progress in a career of being an artist, right? It's because they needed a general education requirement, and taking my class gives them that, right? This is biological and physical sciences. That's what I was talking about before. Here they break it down with, so 7 to 8 credits. Science classes usually are 4, they could be 3 or 4 credits. Typically science classes with a lab required, which is an extra component of a class. So the student may have to attend twice a week, a class that's 2 hours, and then a separate lab where they're putting into practice the things that they're learning in the class. Information technology, math, and 3 to 4 credits is really 1 class. Social and behavioral sciences, 6 credits of that, and wellness and health. So that's what I was telling you about, physical education. So those are general education requirements. And as you can tell, a person who wants to be major in accounting, probably their major is probably not going to require any arts and humanities or any social and behavioral sciences or wellness and health. So that is why the schools mandate that students are having these general education courses to round them out, so that their emphasis, their last 2 years are going to probably be in their subject matter for their major, but when they're starting out, they're getting a diverse introductions to certain disciplines. And what happens is that a lot of times a student may say, I want to major in accounting, take some general education courses because they have to, but then start to see what the options are and change your major. That happens all the time. That happens all the time. So these are the general education requirements that my daughter had to take. And as you can recall, when I told you her first 2 classes were in English and sociology. So that English requirement, everyone has to take English comp. And so you see that up here. This is everyone has to take communication, everyone has to take English 101 and 102. So she already took at one school the English 101, and then she took her one of 3 credits, which is one course of social and behavioral science. So she met those requirements before she transferred to this school. So then when she decided that this is what she wanted her major to be, creative writing, humanities, and social science area of concentration, then we start to see what does the major require. And so what a school will show you are the required course for the major, right? And so this then becomes what you start to take into consideration in addition to general education electives, if your child has made a determination as to what they're majoring in. So I will tell you now, at Switch End Hats, moving from talking about my experience as a homeschooling mom of a dual enrolled student, I can tell you from years of being a college administrator and a college faculty member, I will tell you that within maybe the last 7 years, community colleges have really started to restructure the ways that they engage in students, because what was happening in community college is that folks were just taking classes and they were leading to nowhere. So and they weren't seeing advisors. So just taking any type of class, making that decision on their own, not really talking to an advisor. And so eventually having 12 classes, yes, that I took, but none of them fulfill a general education requirement, and none of them are meeting the concentration requirements. So I've invested money in 12 classes that really can't be applied to a degree, right? So you as the parent are going to have to be that advisor for your child. You're going to have to be savvy enough to organizing and helping them make decisions when choosing courses, and ensuring that these courses meet a general education requirement and elective, and or meet a concentration requirement. And concentration is the same as program of study is the same as major, all right? So get with the lingo as well. Concentration, major, program of study, usually used interchangeably, all those terms used interchangeably. And so you as the parent, this is one of the things why homeschooling children, are so much more successful proportionally when compared to children who are going to college right out of high school, traditional high school, not being homeschooled. Homeschool students who transition, and definitely those who are dual enrolled, are more successful, I think, because they have their parents that are so integral in helping them organize all of this stuff. And so those of you who even signed up, who joined this group, you are trying to learn this so that you can either lead this process or learn enough about it so that you can ultimately transition it over to your child. And so you need to get organized. So you really definitely need to know the difference between general education requirements and electives, concentration requirements, and even if there's an inkling of what your child is interested in studying, making sure that those general education requirement courses are aligned with their major. What you'll find is that there are some courses that are required for the concentration that also meet the requirement for general education requirements. And when that happens, oh my goodness, it's such a wonderful thing, because there are less classes that your child has to take because it's meeting both requirements. So let me actually share another document with you, and I want to share with you how I organize my daughter's courses. I think will be helpful. You don't have to copy this, of course, but it's something that might serve as a good guide. So I definitely use Excel. As you can see, I titled it Kari's College Courses. That's my daughter's name. And so what I started from the very beginning it has program required courses, right? But I know that she also needs general education requirements. So I literally put in my spread, I mark it as a general education elective. So the courses that aren't part of her program requirements or her concentration requirements, I labeled with right here, general education elective, right? So you see these two colors, and well, actually three. So the yellow indicates what I um, list what actually went into that first screen that I showed you from the school that showed what all of her concentration requirements were. I listed them in here from the beginning, right? So when you see white, you actually see what that they're not marked. So they are not classes that she's currently enrolled in, and they're not classes that she's already taken, but they're in white because I put all of the courses that she needs, general education and concentration courses, in here so that I literally can document or make note of when she is currently enrolled in that class and when she has completed it successfully. So the yellow are all the classes that she's taken and completed successfully. The green indicates the courses that she's registered for the fall. Her classes start next week. And the white are classes that she will most likely enroll in, well, not less likely, that she will enroll in for the spring, because she needs all of these classes in order to graduate with her degree. Now, what I also have are classes they call extra courses, but those are the courses that were like intro to African civilizations, movies, history, and art. So she was interested. I will say I enrolled her in intro to African civilizations because I wanted her to take that class. So I didn't give a damn if it if it was a general education requirement or anything. I didn't mind paying the money. The syllabus was excellent for that class. I wanted her to take that class. So she has that credit, and it actually, if she were to transfer to a 4-year and major or minor in Africana studies or African diasporic study, anything, that class would most likely transfer for that program. But for her program currently, it doesn't. She had already met the requirements for arts and humanities, so she didn't need that class. That one, or the history. The history class, I think, was considered an arts and humanities class as well. So these are extra courses. So these, she has a credit. They actually added to her GPA, but she didn't need them for her concentration or her general education requirements. She needed to take, so she when she took her placement test, she tested immediately into English, and she could take college level, and all of the courses that one needs, one is able to take when they pass English. But she was not able, she was like a few points away from passing the math. And she she waited to the last minute. As you can see, she just finished taking this class. Even though she was doing other math in her homeschool life with me, she waited till last minute to begin um, to enroll in a class at her college. She took it this past summer, but she needed that math in order to begin to enroll in this critical thinking class that she's taken this fall, this math class that she's taken this fall. She's in finite. She didn't want to do pre-calc, which is an option, but finite math usually is more algebraic based, whereas pre-calculus is preparing you to go into calculus and more higher level math. She opted to take finite math. And she was able, so now she's able to take that math, which will be for credit, philosophy, the information technology class, even though she's not taking that till next semester. And those were things that she wasn't able to register for before now because she hadn't taken this class that she needed to take. So I put it as an extra course because courses that are called developmental or remedial, So if your child takes the test and has to take anything where the call number, if you see this is math 083, if it was English, zero, anything with a zero is usually a developmental or remedial course. Developmental and remedial are used interchangeably, and they usually have negative connotations. So I typically like developmental as opposed to remedial, but they are usually prerequisites before you start to take college level courses. You have to pass them before you can take college level course. So this class that she took, she just finished a class last week, got a B. Lord, we were so happy with that B because it was a 5-week class, and classes that typically college semesters are 16 week. So when any class is amended from 16 week, it's an accelerated class. So it's the same amount of content that a professor will go over a period of 16 weeks, but it's accelerated. And it's more is packed into that week. And so I feel so bad because she waited till the last minute to take math. And she really needed to take it now, or when she took it in the summer, in order to be able to take these classes for the fall and graduate. And so it was just so much. And so I also wanted, tell you that those are the things that you're considering as well. The length of this course, because all of that really makes an impact. My daughter took, if you notice, she doesn't really have any C's on her transcript, except for this one, which is Spanish. And that was taken her 10th grade year. She had a full schedule had been planned that semester. This was her second semester of 10th grade, but a lot of those classes that she had signed up for were canceled. And the original Spanish class that she had signed up for was canceled due to low enrollment. So the only Spanish class that was available was a 7-week accelerated Spanish class. So she went through with taking it, and it was online. And she was hating life. She hated that class. She hated the teacher. It really was poorly taught, but she got that C and really demoralized her. I had to do a lot of emotional labor and getting, just improving her mindset for her to even return to community college, because when she started, that class was just not, she was not in psychosocially ready for not doing well. And so she had to become equipped and learn that, you're not the best at everything. That's one of the things that I'm dealing with her now, is because she's so used to doing well academically. So when something is challenging and she's not the best, then that kind of impacts that ego. And so, she's a child. So I really have to keep her centered on, first of all, the stuff you do is extraordinary right now, but you got to bring it back to earth. You're not going to be perfect and the best in everything. And what the challenges were for this class can be a learning moment moving forward. And she definitely took that to heart. And so when she started to take online classes, just certain things that she began to apply because of this C, that she, she just hates the thought of me even mentioning this C in Spanish. But that is also an example of how a lot of times we appreciate online classes, and your child might say yes online because they don't won't have to show up to class. And now with COVID, everything going online, but online classes actually require a level of self-direction, attention to detail, and communication skills that everyone does not have. And so those are things that you definitely need to have a conversation with your child about if they are going to begin this semester taking dual enroll community colleges for the first time, and things may be online, is that really they have to be on top of stuff, because things can fall through the cracks. But in general, I just wanted to give you an example of how I keep on top of all of this, what my process looks like. And this also helps inform when I do portfolio reviews regarding homeschool in general, because for the most part, if she's taken a community college course in a subject that they're looking at for high school, then she gets that credit and then some. They're like, oh, okay, she's doing all of this, right? So it's always a great thing. And when I lay it out like this, and what the information, as you can see, is I'm looking at the requirement itself, but then I have the call number of the course. What I have to actually go back and do is be more consistent, because you can see I just have the call number, but here I have the call number and the description of the course. Excuse me. And so I would recommend, I got to clean this up. It's very clear that that's sociology, but I forget the call number for this. Those things matter when she starts applying to colleges this fall, because they want to know what these classes are that she's already taken. And call numbers matter. All right. So that is, in a nutshell, a way to start thinking about how you will approach this semester. If this is the first semester that your child will be doing dual enrollment, I really recommend, but my process works for me because I'm visual, and I like to see, okay, these are all the things. And it's kind of like a checklist if you think about it. These are all the things, general education requirements. You may not have gotten to a program of study, but you can start putting in your Excel sheet or chart, whatever you're using, what those general education requirements that your child has to meet, and then start filling them in as they enroll in the course, and then color coordinate, or even just checking it off once they've passed the course, so that you know that this is one less area that they have to attend to moving forward, especially if getting a degree is the goal, but also if a course of study in preparation for transfer is the goal. And I hope that was helpful. Let me know if it was. So a lot of this, I'm sure, was a lot of talking, but until I can think of a more engaging way to share the information, I hope that this method was helpful for you. Have a great day. Happy Friday, folks. I hope your weekend is a blast.